Boom. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. One of these days, I'll be able to do my intro before this live stream here and get all that figured out to give you some sick beats before this show. Speaking of which, if you are a producer or have any sort of knowledge in all this live streaming, techie mumbo jumbo, hit me up. Send me an email, send me a message, something, somewhere. You know, I could use a little help getting all this production nice and neat and streamlined. Anyway, as for this show, as for this video here, I want to take you through talking about what's going on with 8chan, the attacks, the deplatforming. We'll take a look at what Jim Watkins, who is the current owner of 8chan, has been saying and what he's been dealing with. And then just everything in regards to that, man. I mean, it's just a sick situation what they're doing to this website. And 100%, it's just a stop queue. That's 100% all it is. Everything that's been going on with it the last week, from the events there in Texas to what we're hearing about the events in Texas to the deplatforming of 8chan. I mean, it's so coordinated and it's all absolute clockwork. So we will take a look at that. And then towards the end of the video, I want to talk some censorship too. You know, some people have been getting taken out in the digital war, we could call it, getting their accounts censored by Twitter and whatnot. So I'll share with you guys their new accounts. You know, we all have to stay organized, stay together. And definitely, whenever somebody gets censored and they make a new backup account, I'll retweet it, I'll share it, get them the followers back that they had stripped from them. Can't imagine what that's like. So we'll go through all of that. Next video I'll probably do later today, maybe tomorrow morning. There's a lot I want to talk about in regards to space disclosures, technologies, UFOs, etc., etc. The work that I do on Twitter with sharing the news and the threads, and on Facebook and here on YouTube, etc. You can support that on Patreon. And you can donate at whatever amount, whatever you can and are willing to do. I just appreciate it. And you get some exclusive stuff on Patreon. You get access to live chats, giveaways, a discount code for anything on my website, all that sorts of good stuff. So just letting you know, there'll be a link down below with that Patreon. Thank you all, and thank you all to my new Patreoners, all of you who have recently subscribed there. I appreciate you and your support. So let's get into discussing these attacks on 8chan. First of all, let's take a look at what the mainstream, or shall we say the lamestream media, has been saying about this. So first of all, we'll just go to like the kingpin, the pillar of fake news that the deep state loves to use, and that is the Washington Post. Headline of this article: Will taking down 8chan stop the worst people on the internet? You know what that is?
Fake news.
I've been waiting to use this button. I just got it in. I'm so excited.
Listen, you're being rude. You're fake news. You're fake news. Stop being rude. You're fake news.
Oh, that's good stuff. Anyway, you know who really are the worst people on the internet? The mainstream media. The Washington Post. These are the worst people on the internet because they're lying to us about everything, and especially 8chan here. They're trying to paint 8chan as just being this cesspool of extremist and illegal content and all this stuff, which, you know, in my experience, let's just say, you know, I'll put it out there, in my experience on 8chan, which has really only been the last 2 years and has only been on the Q research board, so I'll admit it is limited, but in my experience, I have encountered no illegal content on 8chan. And as far as I'm aware, anything that does get posted on there that is illegal, the Anons notify the board owners or the admins instantly. It gets taken down. I've never personally witnessed any illegal content on there, so I want to make that known. And I can also assure you guys, I'm not an extremist. Everybody else that I know that goes on to 8chan is not extremist, is not violent or anything like that. So pathetic paint, smear, assassination, character assassination attempts the mainstream media is trying to do with this. Washington Post, let's take a look at the New York Times. Cloudflare, we'll talk about Cloudflare in a sec. Behind the scenes, 8chan scrambles to get back online, shutting down 8chan minutes before the El Paso killing. A hate-filled manifesto appears online. We'll talk about that manifesto in a second too. I mean, it's just awful. Awful stuff. Let's be real.
That is such fake news.
That is such fake news. Like, I'm gonna be using this button a lot. It's good stuff. But again, pathetic stuff coming not just from WAPO, New York Times, but all of the mainstream media. NBC here too. 8chan suffers intermittent outages after Cloudflare drops service. And look at the authors of this article. Big surprise. We got Ben Collins and Brandy Zadrozny, who they're like NBC's go-to shills whenever they need to try and discredit conspiracy theories in an article. They have Ben Collins or Brandy tweet about it or write it up. So you can guess what their angle is going to be there. And speaking of Ben Collins, just want to share this with you guys. Check this out. He blocked me on Twitter. And look at his profile there. His profile header actually says, "Unblock me, you coward." What a freaking hypocrite. Like, he's so... All these people, they're so pathetic. Like, this is really what they're doing with their lives. Misinformation and disinformation, but really, truly, how much hypocrisy do these people have? A lot. So, let's move on into talking Cloudflare. So, this is the Cloudflare CEO, and this is a tweet he made that made the news, as I showed you, and it says here, "We just sent a notice that we are terminating service for 8chan. There comes a time when enough is enough, but this isn't the end," etc., etc. So Cloudflare is basically a service that protected 8chan from hackers. It's a DDoS service, and it prevents hackers and denial of service attacks. Basically, it prevented 8chan from being hit and taken down. But Cloudflare decided to dump 8chan, and there was a few other providers for services for 8chan that kept the website up, that terminated service with them in the last couple of days. So this is a true deplatforming, guys. This isn't some InfoWars prima donna acting bullshit that happened last year, right? When they claimed that their website was under attack, but they had a redirect page on their freaking website. No, they didn't get deplatformed or under attack. That was all a show and a charade. This is actual deplatforming. This is actual getting your, getting censored as a website. And I'm happy to still have the top comment on this guy's tweet, because what he did is just absolute horseshit, caving into the narratives, caving in to the lies. As I said, you're terminating service because of lies and fabricated false flag situations. So, whatever. 8chan currently, as far as I'm aware, it's not up, but we'll take a look at what CodeMonkey, the admin of 8chan, and some others have to say in a minute. I'm not too worried. Just letting you know, I'm not worried. You shouldn't be either, because this definitely isn't the end. So we discussed how the mainstream media is attacking 8chan, trying to smear it, paint it. We took a look at how Cloudflare dumped their services. They're also going after the 8chan owner, Jim Watkins. He's the current owner of 8chan, and they're really going hard after him. Business Insider wrote this yesterday. The bizarre life of 8chan owner Jim Watkins, the middle-aged veteran who decamped to the Philippines and runs a pig farm. So, again, just with the headline, just with one sentence, they can paint such twisted context in these situations. So they're attacking 8chan, they're attacking Jim Watkins, and Jim Watkins actually released a statement onto his personal YouTube account. This is it right here. He titled it, "Sorry for the inconvenience, common sense will prevail." I agree with that title. He might have been able to title it in a way that would get the video more views, because this video absolutely needs to be viewed by every single person right now. And I'm gonna link this down below, maybe make a little card pop up. But this is his statement here. There's Jim Watkins, and it's a very good statement. He gives condolences to the families, says, thoughts and prayers go out, but then he just lays down the truth on the situation and how the mainstream media is just lying about all this and painting it the absolute wrong way. Now, the one particular quote that I want to zero in on here for you guys, I tweeted about it, so I'm going to use my tweet as the reference for it at 4 minutes in. So you can watch this video yourself. 4 minutes into this video, Jim Watkins says, "Someone uploaded a manifesto." He specifies someone. He then says, "However, it was not uploaded by the Walmart shooter." He says, "We don't know who wrote it. Might have been the shooter, might not have been, but we know the shooter didn't upload it." They likely traced the IP address or found some way to prove the fact that this manifesto was not uploaded from that area, uploaded from somewhere else. Jim Watkins painting 8chan as being this cesspool of illegal corruption where a bunch of extremists and domestic terrorists go to hang out and talk about conspiracy theories. Not true. Not true. That manifesto, again, caught planting evidence. Caught planting evidence, and they go, oh, they did the illegal activity. It reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit, if you remember that one. Just sprinkle some crack on him, right? Just sprinkle some crack on him. Put a mixtape in his pocket. Dave Chappelle's good. But it's basically it. Planting evidence, That's a false flag right there. And then mainstream media just runs with the fact that this manifesto was posted. Not even a question. Shooter's still alive, right? Shooter's still alive. He's arrested. Has anybody asked him about the manifesto? Have we got his sworn statement or anything? Nope. Mainstream media just runs with it and says, oh, manifesto. It's the shooters. Ban 8chan. It's horseshit. So, that's that. And, speaking of Jim Watkins, check this out. This is huge. News came out yesterday that the House Homeland Security Committee, their chairman and their ranking member, two congressmen, sent a letter to 8chan owner Jim Watkins demanding he come before Congress and answer questions on the site's extremist content. Now, that's huge. That is huge. Holy shit. Like, what if Jim Watkins talks to Congress and mentions Q? What if that would happen? I'm not saying it's going to, or, you know, that's part of the plan, but whoo, that would sure open up a can of worms. You know, the truth is important. The truth, I mean, transparency is key, and if this would happen and Jim Watkins just tells the truth right there in front of Congress for the world to see, Shooter didn't upload the manifesto. This is what actually is going on 8chan. What's this Q little letter? Like, you guys should figure out about that, right? If you're calling this extremist content, why don't you go ask the Q to President Trump? Huh. Interesting. So, nevertheless, that could be a development we see coming up in the near future. But we do have Jim Watkins' statement. So, Jim Watkins posted his statement to this letter to 8chan's Twitter. Let's take a look at that. There's Infinite Chan, 8chan's Twitter. And Jim Watkins, like I said, transparency is key, and good on him for being fully transparent with this full situation. He tried to email them back, as you can see here. He actually posted a screenshot of his own email that he was sending back to the House committee there, and Jim Watkins said, "Dear sirs, I'm on my way back to America. You may call me at," edits out where he's going and his phone number, but nevertheless, this message was identified as spam, which is why Jim Watkins posted to this to 8chan's Twitter saying, just making sure you received it, because we all know if he didn't post this and the House committee wanted to, they could say, oh, we didn't get your email. But hey, transparency is key, right? Be fully transparent, and the bad guys, those who want to frame any narrative against you, won't have the chance to do that. So, nevertheless, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this all. I'd be very, very interested if Jim Watkins did go in front of Congress, what he would say, what that discovery process would truly bring. But, again, we'll see how this situation all pans out. And then I want to take a mention for a moment, ZeroNet, okay? So, word is going around that a lot of folks who used to do work and lurk around 8chan, post on there, they're heading to a service called ZeroNet. Okay, ZeroNet is basically like this. Apparently, it's an app or a service that you install, then you can go onto the internet from there, and it makes your computer basically like its own server, and you can do peer-to-peer file transfers or web surfing as your own server. Again, I'm not into the techie stuff, but that's just the basics of it that I understand. Now, some people out there on Twitter and elsewhere were telling folks to go on to ZeroNet, and that it's the 8chan official backup or something like that for the Q research boards. Now, CodeMonkey, otherwise known as Ron, otherwise known as me personally, I'm not logging onto it. I'm not going to participate in that because I don't know what bad stuff could happen to my computer with sort of malware, viruses, or whatever the case. I'm just not me. It's not my forte. So I would advise to you to abort mission if you're planning on doing that, and don't go on there. It's just, you know, I know a lot of people are going through 8chan withdrawals right now, but be patient, right? It's the year of the boomerang, right? The deep state's doing all this stuff right now. They might look like they're getting ahead, that they're winning these battles, but they're most definitely not. So let's just be patient. I don't doubt that 8chan will come back in whatever form it'll come back in, and we'll be back to business very soon. But nevertheless, ZeroNet, don't do it. And especially one word on those LARPs out there. One of the LARPs, live action role player, basically faker, on Twitter that was promoting ZeroNet was I the Spy. If any of you guys lurk around Twitter, do the tweet stuff, and follow this guy, I the Spy, dude, he's so LARP, so much of a faker, tries to establish connections, inside connections they don't really have, and say they have some inside intel that they're going to be leaking. I mean, I the Spy blocked me like a year ago on Twitter because I was calling them out for some LARPing they were doing that I was noticing. Just be careful who you follow, guys. Be careful who you follow. Truly, I think their follower count's already dropping because a lot of people are sniffing out their bullshit. So, word on that. Now, he was condemning racism and white supremacy, which is very good because no place for that, no place for the hate. He was giving his statement, and what some people noticed and what Trump was doing is that he was sort of falling into, shall we say, some of those deep state narratives, okay? Donald Trump was saying, I believe he mentioned the manifesto in his words, and he said the manifesto was posted on the internet and then some of this stuff. And I saw some people on Twitter and Facebook and around social media started worrying. They started saying, why is Donald Trump caving into these deep state talking points? And they were thinking that Donald Trump might have been playing us all the whole time and might be one of them. But what you guys got to understand is that a false flag like this is going to put them into a corner, right? Don't worry about the optics, in other words. Don't worry about what Trump has to say for the PR and all this stuff. Like, no doubt they know the truth about what's going on, and no doubt they're working to do something about it. But is he really going to go and tell the public that right now? No. Sometimes you sort of have to cave in to the deep state talking points for the continuance of the operation, just for the strategy, right? So don't worry about the optics. Again, think critically with this. Think with the higher perspective. Why does he have to do certain things, say certain things for the optics? What are those things? You know, reconcile all of that. There's certain things that we can point to that Trump has said in front of the cameras over the last year that we could probably go, oh, he really doesn't believe that. He's just saying it, you know, for that. So point here being, don't worry too much about the optics or what's said to the cameras here or there. Like, look at the big picture, okay? These false flags are definitely getting outed. And, you know, they're still happening, which is unfortunate, but they're getting outed. People are waking up to the fact, spreading information around of the fact, which is why Twitter has to censor so much. We'll talk about some people that have been censored in a minute. So that's that for all of that. Now let's move on into a little bit of Q news. So Q is not done at all, guys. Very much not done. Right here, as the mainstream media has been reported on, a Trump campaign ad featured QAnon signs. And it really did. And this ad was uploaded yesterday, I believe. Mainstream media quickly goes into meltdown mode. Anything that has to do with QAnon that Trump subtly confirms or Trump retweets a QAnon promoter, anything like that, mainstream media just instantly goes down into meltdown mode. It's hilarious. Business Insider, a lot of other articles on this that have been printed this morning. I'm just using Business Insider as the example. Reporting on this Q that was in an official campaign ad. Now, here was the video for the campaign ad. It was recently taken down. I saw it yesterday, but unfortunately wasn't able to get to this live stream in time to show it to you guys. But we do have a screenshot of the Qs that were on the signs in the video. This is it right here. There's actually a couple of them. And it was just a short, like, 10, 15 second spot. But within the first 5 seconds, this frame comes up, and it's so obvious right there on a Keep America Great sign. Boom, big fat Q. Another couple Qs on this Women for Trump sign. And this was on Donald Trump's, boom, official account. Or it was. Video unavailable now. But nevertheless, articles getting ran about it. I mean, they are doing whatever they can to force the Q. And the mainstream media is doing all they can to get 8chan banned without making a mention of Q. You see that? You notice that? That's very interesting. All of this All these attacks, all this fake news, all this...
Listen, you fake news.
All this fake news. All this fake news coming out against 8chan, not a mention of Q. And they're being very careful not to do that because they don't want to bring new eyes to Q. They don't want people asking about it, researching about it. They just want 8chan banned. So they're going to talk all about these shooters in New Zealand and the shooter in El Paso, Texas, posting these manifestos to 8chan. Not a mention of Q in that. So that's something to make a note of. And also doing all they can to avoid discussing it. But whenever it is discussed, let's put these fake news narratives out. So that's what they're doing there. And then lastly, let's get into a few people who were taken off of Twitter that have new Twitter accounts that I want to link down below for you guys because I feel that it's important to do so. Just is. So Dilly's back. Brendan Dilly, he got canned. He was reporting on the El Paso shooter. I mentioned this, I think, in my last video. Twitter canned him for basically just putting out truthful information out there. And not only did they terminate his personal account, but they terminated the account for his show, too. They were watching him for a while, and they took their chance when they could. But nevertheless, he's back. He's back as SirHub Life. There was a fake account that popped up really quick. You know, anytime we get one of these citizen journalists out there that get their Twitter account canned, you always got a troll that pops up really quick and changes one little character in there to try to make it look like it's the legit account. It's all a LARP, but SirHub Life. Find him at SirHub Life. That Twitter account will be linked down below. This one right here, we got 2 more casualties of, I call it, the Digital Awakening War to report. They also got Mindfuhrer and a guy that goes by the name of Reincarnated ET on Twitter too. 2 Twitter accounts who I was following. I like them a lot for political digs and news about current events and things like that. But you can refollow them. Mindfuhrer is now back as Fuhrer Rises. Fuhrer Rises. And then Reincarnated ET is now Incarnated Forever. This is his, like, 8th Twitter account, I think. Pretty much every single time this guy gets up to, like, 15 or 20,000 followers, they cut him. So, again, you can find Dilly and Fuhrer and then Incarnated. All those links will be down below. So that's pretty much all I have here for you guys in this one. Just wanted to update you on what's going on with 8chan and Jim Watkins. Go take a look at his statement. Share that around. This is really important because everything we're going to get from the mainstream media is one-sided, 100% bias, 100% bullshit right now. And the mainstream media journalists, they're not going to touch this. They're not going to touch this in any way that's true. Even the ones that aren't spreading the fake news about it, even if there's any mainstream journalist that, you know, wants to get the truth out about it, they're not going to touch it. It's just it's like a no-touchy subject in the mainstream right now, unless you're going to be biased about it. I've seen a few alternative outlets report on what's going on with 8chan, but and they've reported the truth on it, but again, it's still very few, only a couple of them. So I feel it's really important to report on what's going on with 8chan, the truth about it, the truth about what Jim Watkins is saying of it. So take a look at his statement there, and then, like I said, go follow all these folks that got censored too. So that's that. Again, go find me on Patreon. Thank you guys for your support on there. Go find my website, jordansather.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Should be a pop-up that comes up. If that pop-up doesn't come up, you can go to the bottom there, check it out. You can go check out all the new goodies I got up on my shop there. And then, you know, greens, ormus, hemp oil, bunch of good stuff. So thank you guys for all your support. Appreciate ya. I'll be back very soon. Like I said, videos will be coming ASAP later today.